Welcome to the 40th edition of Wings Weekly this season. And, of course, joining me is head coach Steve Jennings. I'm Jay Kleinknecht. Coach, before we get into the weekend of hockey, yesterday a lot of fun at the Aspire Bowling Bash, the Bowl with the Wings event that is always a lot of fun for a lot of people, and I think we ended up with 23 teams, if I'm not mistaken, and silent auction items and different things like that, all helping out the Aspire Foundation. A lot of fun for sure, and a great opportunity for billet families and fans to interact with the Wings players. So that was pretty cool.
And for crack bowlers to show off their mad skills, right, Jay?
I'm not a crack bowler, but I was dared to bring this because I did hit a strike with the head pin, a colored pin, and I won a puck. Coach said, "I dare you to bring that with." Think I won't? Let's see. Into the weekend, 4-1 win Friday night. Penalty kill was 100%. Power play was also 100%, and then a delayed penalty where you were able to score on there as well. Really strong second period. Overall, one of the things I mentioned to you on Saturday night that I thought was kind of impressive was that it didn't seem to really lean on veterans while they were very active as always. The scoring was Galante and Allais and Walsh and Shimizi. Guys, it was really well-rounded, it seemed like. Yep. Thoughts on Friday night?
Yeah, I mean, overall, we're pretty happy with the result. I thought we executed the game plan we had talked about all week pretty well, stayed in it the whole way, and I through the entire game just felt pretty confident. I felt like we were building and didn't really allow them to establish their game, so it was really good.
Lots of like there and a great crowd on hand too.
Yeah,
that was
unreal. I mean, that crowd was special, and it's great, right? Like that's the thing when we recruit kids, we talk about the community and the OD and what a special environment it was, and that crowd was unreal, and they added to the vibe of the game, and they added to the it's like having an extra player on the ice at times. Right?
1,784, I think, was the official number. So lots of Wings fans in attendance and a great game. A lot of fun. Then we move on to Saturday night, Coach. A 5-2 loss, scored early, a minute 11 in. You're on the board. It seemed like things were going your way. And then about halfway through the first, it just felt like things kind of changed. Like the tide kind of tilted Bismarck's way and never went back. The goaltender changed between the second and third, which I didn't even notice, which that's how good I am. But seeing the far end of the ice, I wasn't sure of that until after the game, so there's that. But anyway, what, in your view, as a coaching staff, what did you see on Saturday night? Like, what happened?
Yeah, I think we got up, and that was good. We're really building some good confidence there off of that. And then we made a series of mistakes that, and turnovers of the puck and things like that, in situations where we normally don't, where we try to not do that. And that started to give them momentum. And then at that point, we began chasing. And like we haven't talked about, I was saying to some of the guys here earlier today, we have not talked about us chasing the game for a while. And that's been good. But boy, we were chasing it on Saturday, and I thought that the second period was tough. Right, we gave up some uncharacteristic goals and some rebound opportunities and things like that. And the third period, I would say actually from the media timeout in the second period and through the third, we were pushing back pretty hard, trying to make something happen, but we were chasing. And at that point, when you're chasing like that, you need some breaks to happen. And I think guys started squeezing their sticks when the breaks weren't coming, and it was a totally different vibe. Yeah. And it's not an acceptable one, and we talked about that. And it's the guys that we expect to perform, we need to perform in those opportunities. And we're coming down into the last 10 games of the year here, and the points that we have on the table are really important for us, and we need to close those opportunities out. And that game was one that we could have come back on. I think everyone felt confident on that. I just think it's about execution and bearing down, and when you're in a fight, staying in it and pushing through. Mm-hmm. And I think we left a little on the table.
Well, Bismarck scored 2 goals in the first 3 minutes of the second period there. Some defensive breakdowns in the third. I think there were 2 or for sure 2, maybe even 3, where there was a breakaway. They were able to get in behind the D, and in this case, Oro's able to make some big saves there in the third.
I mean, they came as we're taking calculated risk trying to generate offense. I mean, if you're watching, we were putting Cade Nielsen out on the point at times, trying to get 4 forwards on the ice, and we do it, trying to juggle the lineup a bit so that we could get guys out there to help manufacture and generate stuff. And when you take chances like that, once in a while it's going to bite you. Yep. And that's what happened. But Zach and I, we talked between periods and knew we had to do something different to try to open it up a little bit and allow us to come back. And we scored one more goal. We were going to pull the goalie early too. We've shown the ability in the past to come back in a game like that, right? We've done that this year, but we didn't do it Saturday night.
Just ran out of time. Like I said, Jackson Yee's late goal. Bosse, his goal was early. Yee's late. Nice goal, but again, it was ended up being kind of academic with time running out. Consistency is something we've talked about on a regular basis, and that continues to be kind of an issue from weekend to weekend or game to game. And like you said, with 10 games left of the regular season, you're staring down playoffs, and of course those are series. Consistency becomes even more important, it would seem like.
Yep.
How can you sharpen that up a little bit?
So we try to manufacture situations with the guys during practice to try to help drive some of that game behavior here, so guys understand that there's a consequence. So we do a lot of small area games and other competition stuff that bakes into our practice that helps us reinforce the things that we want to work on for the weekend, but also drive that consequence in there, right? And that's about the only way you can really do it, right? And it's experience. And one of the challenges we have is we have a largely inexperienced group at this level. We have kids who maybe are older, but they haven't played in the league, or maybe their first year of junior hockey. So getting them around the corner on that, I think we're making a lot of progress. We haven't had the huge swings of inconsistency like we saw in the first half, I think, but it still comes back to bite us here, right? So we played Saturday night like we played Friday night would be great, right? But woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? And so we need to find a way to drive that in, and we spend a lot of time, and it gets rewarding at times when you play like Friday. It gets frustrating at times when we play like we did on Saturday, because we see that we still have room to go, right? And we do. But
and as a team, I would imagine that's somewhat of a point of frustration too, because you do have such a good game Friday night. You're feeling good, and then you kind of it's got to be a little disheartening, to have a game like Saturday night.
Yeah. And you would understand if you went and said we had to calm the guys down. They were over celebrating on Friday night, and they weren't. They showed up. But Saturday was a very business-like day here. The preparation, the vibe going out for opening puck on Saturday felt just like it did on Friday.
Okay. Standings look like this. St. Cloud right now 65 points at the top of the Central Division with 48 games played. Aberdeen in second with 56 points and 50 games played. Austin now in third with 55 points and 51 games played. Minot in fourth with 54 points and 52 games played. Bismarck has climbed out of the cellar with that win Saturday night and a North Iowa loss. They now have 49 points and 50 games played, while North Iowa again drops to the bottom of the division with 48 points and 50 games played. We talked about it. North Iowa's coming up next. Again, down the final chute, I guess you'd say, as of the regular season. How important are these games, this pair of games against the North Iowa Bulls?
Yeah. I mean, every game here, we have 10 left, right? So there's 20 points available to all of us on the table. Some teams a little less, right, because we have games in hand, right? But for us, we have 20 points. We need to maximize those points. So, staying up and pushing and getting through is going to be really important for us. I think, taking this series lightly, I don't worry that this group is going to take this series lightly. I think they all know what our series has been like with North Iowa. They've been engaging games where we've had to push back, and they have the opportunity to strike at you like a snake, right? I mean, offensively, they have some firepower there, and I think the biggest mistake would be to take things lightly, and I know we're not going to do that. So really important for us.
Well, and it's an interesting, good point that you brought up there, because they have struggled a little bit and are now at the bottom of the division doesn't mean that they aren't just as dangerous as we've been talking about Bismarck. And any of these teams can win on any given night. And interestingly enough, with North Iowa, and we've covered this a handful of times, about how interesting it is in a lot of senses. How when you score, they seem to score right back, or when they score, you score right back. It's a very back and forth game with the Bulls, it seems like, and I would expect more of the same. What do you see as some keys?
Yeah, I think for us getting out early, establishing that, we know that they like to do some things offensively, and I think we've shown that we have the ability to kind of control that. So we want to put that back into our game here for this weekend, and I think staying in the fight the whole time.
Yeah.
Right. That's really important for us. And again, we've done that, right? And I think for us, it's getting down there, getting settled, and getting into our game and playing the complete game, and then we'll finish Friday night and then talk about Saturday night, right? And not worry about the weekend before the weekend. The only thing that we really have to worry about right now is Friday night. And after Friday, then we'll talk about Saturday. But we need to get through Friday night and stay focused and stay on task. And I think when we do that, we're really good. And when we start to think too far ahead or start playing the what-if scenario game, it's frankly just distracting to everyone. So keeping the distractions out and focusing on the next event, because that's the only event that matters, right? And that's going to be important for us as we go down this. And I think, you know, Zach and I think about the bigger picture, and that's the important part. The players need to think about their next shift.
Yep. Okay. All right. Well, Coach, I, again, appreciate your time as always. And that's about all I've got for you here on this episode of Wings Weekly, though, and best of luck against North Iowa.
All right. Thanks, Jay.
All right, folks, we'll continue with our second portion of Wings Weekly with a player joining me coming up right after this.
We raise the bar on bar food with sandwiches, tenders, and there's more where this came from. To the greatest of all times.
Wings Weekly continues on, and as usual, a player is joining me. This time it is Bauer Barry of Chaska, Minnesota. You played for the New Ulm Steel, and now, of course, with the Aberdeen Wings. I got a couple of Minnesota kind of base questions for you. But one of the things that I thought was kind of interesting about you and your hockey career, unlike a lot of people in this locker room or in junior hockey, you have, for the most part, stayed fairly close to home. You know, through obviously New Ulm and then now Aberdeen. Do you feel like that gives you a little bit of an advantage as opposed to somebody from, say, England or, you know, Europe somewhere or something like that, where they don't get a chance to see their parents hardly or anything?
Yeah, obviously it's great to see my parents. They come up to almost every game.
And the culture too. I mean, it's not like, I mean, while Chaska's obviously much bigger, and Minnesota and South Dakota aren't all that much apart or that different in a lot of ways. I mean, when it comes to foods and things like that. So I would feel like a little bit more at home compared to some players anyway.
Yeah, and being close to home, it's great. It's a 4.5 hour drive. So if something happens or, you know, I just want to see them, then it's not a far drive. You can head back there really whenever. Definitely
seems like it would be an advantage. Well, I got to ask you, the Minnesota High Schools tournament just ended this weekend. Filled the XL Center, which high school hockey, filling an NHL facility. It was, I think, surprises a lot of people. But being from Minnesota probably doesn't surprise you all that much. Did you follow the tournament at all? I bet you know some of those guys too, huh?
Yeah. So a couple of those seniors I played against my senior year, they were sophomores back then. So I was following the tournament. Obviously, our schedules kind of overlapped a little bit with games this weekend. That was what I was focused on. But it was fun to see some of those guys, you know, living my dream of playing in the tournament and knowing them and playing against them back then. So it was cool to see.
Yeah, it's a huge event, and obviously the state of hockey is it's known, but boy, to have that many people in a facility for a high school tournament is crazy. I always ask everybody, how'd you get your start in hockey? I mean, again, being from Canada or Minnesota or something, hockey is not that far, far away, and it's a part of the culture in a lot of ways. How was it for you?
Well, obviously, with a name like Bauer, my brother named me when he was 16, so I had to play hockey. Yeah. And I think I don't even remember. I think I could skate before I could even walk. My dad played in college. He played professionally. My brother played. Both my brothers played. So they had me on skates at practices with a stick in my hands since before I could remember.
Right. Okay. It's funny you say that with a name like Bauer. I was going to say I think you're destined to be a hockey player. Well, you mentioned it. You know, your dad and brothers played. Would you say those have been your biggest influences when it comes to hockey?
Yeah, definitely. Also, my mom too. She's never played hockey, but she's been around hockey for 30 plus years. She knows the game. She knows what it's like. But she's also kind of a middleman. Mm-hmm. She's a little bit
helping as you were younger, getting you to and from practices and that kind of thing. You mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Hockey moms. What would we do without them? That's for sure.
Yep.
You are kind of interesting in a sense too, because you're listed as a defenseman, but you've been playing a lot of center lately. You can play both defense and forward, and we've seen that. What would you say? Like, do you have a preference? Is there a position you'd prefer to play?
I'd say my preference is probably defense.
Yeah.
I do feel like I have a little more space and control on the blue line, but I still do love forward. I was a forward for most of my hockey career, so feeling like I am doing something in the face-off circle and up on forward for this team is I love it as well.
Yeah, well, excellent. It's interesting. I mean, you mentioned the space, because Adam Schukert last week talked a little bit about that, about being able to see the entirety of the ice and kind of what's happening, and how when you're on the blue line or as a defenseman, you get a chance to kind of see the forest through the trees versus when you're playing as a forward. What would you say? There's a lot of different components to a hockey game. Obviously there is the defensive side of it, the offensive side of it, the penalty kill, the power play. There's all kinds of different things. Is there a particular component in a game that you just live for, that is your favorite part?
I love defense. Yeah. I love getting the puck. I guess getting the puck from the other team, getting it moving north. I mean, as a centerman, I'm basically a third defenseman as well. So I'm not sure what it is about it, but I love it.
That's interesting. It's all about personality and what different people like and stuff, because there are some people, I've talked to some guys that absolutely love the kill. Like, there's just this chaos of the kill that they love so much, and I always find that interesting, the different pieces of the game that some people just gravitate towards. So that's very cool. All right, another question here coming up that has kind of become one of my favorite questions to ask guys. What would you say is your favorite hockey memory? Now, it doesn't have to be about a game you played in, even though it can be. Maybe it's watching your brothers play or whatever. What would you say surrounding or something that involves the game of hockey, what would you say your favorite memory is?
I would say my 8th grade year, my Bantam team, state championship game.
Excellent.
Scored a goal.
Nice.
Probably the first game I ever played with real fans, like kind of a packed house, I'd say. Sure. Obviously, I was an 8th grader, so any fans were awesome to me. But scoring that goal and ended up going and winning that state championship was probably the best feeling in the world.
Excellent. Love that. Well, and talking about fans, Coach and I were just talking about the 1,700, just short of 1,800 people that were here on Friday night. What's it like? What's it been like to play here at the Odie and with these rabid fans?
Well, coming from Minnesota high school, I'm not new to fans, right, but this is a whole different level. I mean, packing this building every single weekend that we play here, and just how supportive and involved they are, it's incredible. Like, we couldn't ask for better fans here.
Excellent. There are some passionate people, that is for sure. All right, away from hockey, what do you like to do? Do you have any hobbies or interests or anything that occupy your time? Video game guy?
Occasionally. I love photography.
Okay, very cool.
I'm taking classes. I beat Greg and Patrick O'Connell in foosball all the time. They're not going to like that one.
A not so subtle brag there.
Yeah, but when I'm home, I love to hang out with friends, spend time with family. Most of my life is spent on the ice, though. Yeah. Hockey is a big portion of it, so.
For sure. All right. What would you say is your dream car? Are you like a Jeep guy, a pickup guy, a sports car? What if you could have any car in the world, what would it be?
Any car in the world. I would say a Pagani Huayra.
I have no idea what that is. Sounds Italian. No?
Not sure what country it's from, but huge fan. Either actually that or I love the Lexus LFA.
Okay. I have to look that up now and see what kind of car that is. I'm sure it's going to be nice. How about music? What's on your playlist?
I don't have an answer to that. I have all kinds of music.
Yeah.
80s rock is a big one. Some just kind of vibey music, I guess. Newer styles, a little Dua Lipa.
Okay. I love hearing these guys talk about 80s rock, and I'm like, yeah. That's what I grew up on, or that's what, and not grew up necessarily, but high school and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, let's see. Now, a goofy question for you here. Would you rather have super sensitive taste or super sensitive hearing? Which one would be better to you?
Ooh, I feel like I'd go with super sensitive hearing.
Okay. It kind of becomes a superpower in a way. Yeah,
it does become a superpower. The only thing that I would kind of kind of sway me away from that is the possibility if it's super sensitive hearing, then it might be easier to lose your hearing to loud noises. So
sure.
But still, I mean,
logical. I like that.
I would say hearing would give me more of an advantage in life.
Yeah, being able to taste things without having really super sensitive taste really doesn't help you much.
Yeah. It'd be fun though.
Yeah. Okay. How about another one here? Now this one's a little bit tough. Okay.
Okay.
Would you rather know the uncomfortable truth of the world or believe a comforting lie? So like you don't really have to worry because you believe the lie, or would you rather absolutely know the truth about everything and about what's going on behind the scenes and if there's conspiracies and all that kind of stuff? I mean, you'd be full of worry.
I have to know what's going on behind the scenes. I watch conspiracy theories on YouTube all the time, and I've always just wondered what. I mean, I say that now, obviously. If it was really to happen, I don't know what I'd pick, but I really want to know what's going on behind the scenes, yeah.
Well, that worked out well. That question was a perfect fit for you then. Yeah, well, like I said, it'd be cool to know all that stuff, but then having that knowledge, like, what do you do? That would be, you know what I mean? Because it sort of feels like you need to fix it or do something about it, but then you really can't, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Tough one there. All right. Anybody you want to give a shout out to? I know you mentioned your brothers and your mom and dad. Anybody else?
Shout out Parker, Kyle, Maddie, mom, dad. Yeah.
Make sure you don't forget anybody there. All right. Well, we've got North Iowa coming up this coming weekend. And as Coach and I were just talking about, North Iowa now has slipped to the bottom of the division, but they are a very dangerous team, as we know, and it's been a real back and forth all season, really, with that team. So what do you feel like as a team, as a player, as a unit, as a whole, what do you have to do against North Iowa to come away with some points here this weekend?
Well, honestly, everything that we did last Friday, other than, we played almost perfect hockey. You can't ask guys to play perfect hockey. Mistakes will happen, but we played our game. We got our bumps. We played hard. Everyone played their role. That's just what we needed to do going into this weekend, because if we get into a shootout going back and forth with North Iowa here, we have the skill to beat them, but that's not a place we want to be.
Right.
I'd say we just play our game and everything will work out.
Right on. Great answer. All right. Well, Bauer, I appreciate you coming on the show. It's always great for, again, a chance for whether it's an event like the Aspire Bull with the Wings event or any time that fans get an opportunity to get to know you guys a little bit. It's a lot of fun for the fans. So we appreciate you coming on. Well, the Wings are on the road this weekend to take on the North Iowa Bulls for the final time in the regular season. Puck drops at 7:30 in Mason City both Friday and Saturday night. Fans can watch the away games using their Hockey TV login or at Buffalo Wings and Rings in Aberdeen, the official home for all Wings away games. The game's audio is broadcast via Hub City Radio's 94.1 The Rock, or you can listen on the Rock app from your mobile device and listen anywhere. The Wings will return to the Odie on March 25th and 26th to wrap up the month against the Austin Bruins. A lot of games against the Bruins coming up. Stay tuned to the AberdeenWings.com for game day information. And that weekend is also the Teddy Bear Toss, so that's always a fun one. A lot of people look forward to that. And of course, the awards banquet coming up on March 27th at the Yilda Shrine Center. A few corporate night sponsorships are still available in 2022. Call Aaron at 380-5852 to see what's open. Don't forget, Wings Weekly is now a podcast. Find the audio for this season's episodes on Spotify, Stitcher, or iHeartRadio. And for all the latest news and information on the Wings, visit AberdeenWings.com or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. Once again, Bauer Barry, thanks so much for coming on Wings Weekly here with me.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And Megan, thank you for running the camera and the mics and stuff. We wouldn't forget about you.
I always try to forget about it. Anyway, that'll be it, folks. That's it for this week's Wings Weekly.